let's start from there, right? We have our lists. Let's start from the bottom of our list and each say our lowest game or lowest on the list and work our way up and why we picked it.
I'll go quick with my number 5 because it's going to be a hot take for a lot of people. Call of Duty Ghosts is extremely underrated. It is not as bad as everyone says it is. People who crapped on it are just haters, honestly. It was fun. I enjoyed it. The multiplayer was a good time. The story mode and the campaign was fun. Yeah, I just think that people love to hate on it because it was another Call of Duty. But I think Call of Duty Ghosts is not the worst Call of Duty at all either. It's super underrated, and people just want to be haters. And that's my number 5. Short and sweet, to the point.
I think when you look back at the time, I could see why a lot of people didn't like that game because it felt like a ripoff of just MW3 and just with mechanics and anything like that. But now with all the recent Call of Duties that came out, you're like, wow, like that one was actually pretty good. And it's like the one I think of is it Call of Duty? Is it Valhalla? What is it? The World War II one that
Vanguard?
they mixed with
Vanguard?
Is it Vanguard? Yeah. When I think of that one, I'm like, good lord, like what were they thinking?
Yep.
Trying to rush that game into everything.
Oh yeah.
So
Yeah.
I agree with you on that one.
Hayden, you want to go?
Yeah, you want to go, Hayden?
Or you want me to go?
Number 5?
I'll go. Yeah, my game is an older game. It's from the original Xbox. It is called Crimson Skies. If you've not heard of this amazing game, it's a plane fighting game. It's all about warplanes, and it's like this for me. This is like the first plane game or something like that where it's like so many crazy weapons and you have to fight all these huge blimps and other planes, and it has actually a pretty great story. So, and like no one has heard of this game. It's on Game Pass, which I blew my mind. And like, man, I think it was during COVID. I was like bored of everything, so I decided to play. I'm like, I'm gonna play this classic game again. So I brought up my original Xbox and played the whole story. And yeah, it was great then too. So I highly recommend
Now,
it.
is this the top-down arcade style looking plane game?
No, this is like a 3D. Gosh, it's kind of like in a not post-apocalypse. It's like in a SteamWorld game, where it's like you have this ruler who. I'm trying to remember this story right now, but basically you're this badass pilot who goes around and finds many different planes on different maps, and you have this huge blimp where you can park your planes in there, and you can have this whole list of like bulldog planes or something else that with different weapons on it. You can have different colors on it. I think that just like as a kid and seeing that as the first time as customization, like that, it was a really cool concept.
Crimson Skies.
I've
seen it on the Xbox Game Pass. I just never played it. I assumed it was like one of those old school arcade style ones, where you're shooting little water BBs out and at airplanes, and when there's whole swarms of airplanes coming after you and all that kind of stuff. You know what I mean? Kind of thing.
Yeah.
But that's pretty good. All right. So again, like I said, I cheated. I have 6, but I'm gonna kind of clump these two a little bit together because I had a hard time going back and forth with these two, and so I'm gonna start with number 6. I'll also say number 5, and I'm actually gonna share my screen here so you guys can kind of see what I got here and what I picked here. So the first one that I'm gonna talk about here, classic game of Paperboy. Now, if you guys are old school fans, this is a 1985, 1986 game where you're a paperboy, as you see right here, right? You've got a paper route. Oh, I paused that. I went a little bit too far back. You got a paper route, just as it sounds, right? And you have your subscribers that you deliver papers to. Those are the colored houses, right? You got your non-subscribers, which are the gray houses. These are the people's houses that you don't like, and you try to do bad things to them. But it's a very simple concept game. Have you guys played Paperboy?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
I have, anyways.
But as you see, you're delivering papers, right? And so the better the better at you get at throwing the paper, and like throwing them through windows for the vandalized house, the bad houses, getting it directly into the mailboxes or onto the doors, you get more points, things like that. And so this is the concept of the game. This is what you're trying to do overall. Very simplistic game, right? But the reason why I picked it was that this game was so fun and enjoyable playing as a kid. Why didn't they make this further down the line? Why didn't they upgrade this thing into looking like a Grand Theft Auto Paperboy? You know what I mean? Where you're like, you can go like all over the place. You get cars flying around. You're riding super cool BMX bikes. You're delivering paper. Like I feel like they could have continued this story down the line, and it could have continued to be an awesome game because it was an awesome game. I love this game. I love the challenge of it as you play and go through each, like you're timed and you get points and different stuff like that. Every single day it gets a little bit harder. Things move a little bit faster and quicker, and so again, challenging your skills. There you got a burglar trying to break into that house. I mean, this is a pretty cool game, and was a lot of fun to play growing up as a kid. And so that was my number 6. And again, the reason I just had to bring this game in there because I felt like it never got the continued love moving forward. And then you get like this cool obstacle course. Look at this thing. This is an amazing game. And it could have went further down where I think it could have been remade and republished with better graphics and better settings and things along those lines. So the next one.
They should remake that game into like a horror turn event, like your classic Paperboy, and then they
Yeah,
turn it
there you
like
go.
scary.
The next game I picked, and I picked it. This was like one of my favorite games again, growing up and playing as a kid. This is Kill Switch, and so I got a little bit of stats here on Kill Switch. I'll actually stop sharing here for a second so I can kind of pull those up. So Kill Switch 2003, PlayStation 2, Xbox generation game. It had an interesting story where the character that you're playing as is controlled by like a real person, right? So it's, think of the movie Gamer, right? Like that, right? If you've seen Gamer with I can't think of the
Gerard
guy's
Butler.
name. Yeah, with Gerard Butler and stuff like that. He's being
Yep.
controlled by some dude and playing in this kind of thing like that. This is obviously a little bit, it's not a game, so like he's like a super soldier kind of guy, and he's being controlled by a guy called the controller. And so he's a real human, like the person's a real human, so he's having these memories or memory lapses as things are going on, and things are glitchy while he's doing this. And there's a person that ends up like killing the controller, and so now he has full control of his own self again, and all his memories are coming back. And so it has a cool story, more than just running and gunning through a game, as it would be. The other cool part about this game, and I'm just going to just share the screen just to show a little bit of footage of the game so everybody can kind of see that part of it. But this was like one of the first games that brought in the hiding behind taking cover. You see this here, like, so he's taking cover behind these walls and stuff like that. This game was kind of one of the first to really bring this into a game where you can take cover behind objects and you can actually shoot. You can do a couple things. You can shoot blindly over the cover, or you can obviously aim over, and that obviously is going to peek over these edges and things along those lines. And so it's kind of a game a little bit ahead of its time, to me, and that aspect of it. But there was no second story of this. Like, he finishes the thing, he kind of gets his memories back and stuff like that, but there was no continuing of this game and things along those lines, where I feel like it never, and it died. I think the company died that had it as well, and it just lost its momentum. And I think it was a really great game in its time that I don't think a lot of people played. Did you guys play Kill Switch?
No, never
No,
heard of it.
exactly. Yep, exactly. And it had a unique feature in that whole taking cover, aim, and that was kind of part of it. That was on the cover of the game. It said take cover, take aim, all that kind of stuff. Like, that was their feature, and it was fun to play that way, and it had a great storyline to it. And so I picked that one as my number 5. I threw Paperboy as a bonus coverage because Paperboy was just a good game. There was a Paperboy 2, but nothing else happened of it. Could you imagine playing a Grand Theft Auto version of Paperboy? That would be so sick. That would be so sick to play that game. Jumping cars, doing all sorts of cool stuff, upgrading your bike. There'd be so many features you could add to it to make
So,
that game fun.
I was actually, when you were talking about Paperboy, it looks so familiar to me, so I looked it up, and that one didn't look as familiar to me. But I remember playing a game called Paperboy. There was a newer version for the N64.
Was it Paperboy 2 or something different?
It was just called Paperboy, but
Oh.
it had different graphics, and it was more not. It was more like semi-open world and everything.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I've never heard of that. Never seen it.
That's why, because when you said Paperboy, I'm like, okay, I played that game, but when I watched it, I was like, that looks a little different than what I remember. So
that sounds like a way better version. way more fun.
Let me see if I can.
Obviously, the version I showed obviously it's NES, right? So that's Nintendo. Yeah. It's a PC, old school, weird projector type screen. It's very old, but I feel like I think you could bring that into Xbox now, PlayStation, all that kind of stuff. It could be updated to be so much better, better looking in a more realism type looking game. Paperboy. Obviously, there's not a lot of papers being delivered anymore, but that doesn't really matter. You can still do it and have fun with it as a cool feature game that I think could be very familiar for a lot of people that have played.
Let me go ahead and share my screen quick. So here's the Paperboy that I remember, and this is why I was like, wait, I remember when you kept bringing it up. But so my number 4 going on. I'm kind of
already my list is killing your guys'.
Okay. So I'm gonna go with Hi-Fi Rush is my number 4, and some people might say this is not underrated because this game did really well, which I agree. It did great, but it did great because it came out day one on Game Pass for free and everything. But it's a rhythm-based action game where even if you don't time it right, every single hit moves with the beat. But if you do happen to get it on the exact beat, you get a bonus. Oh, there you go! Hey!
Now
and shit, yeah, don't move. Just don't even smile. But no, Hi-Fi Rush is a great game. It's a game that I think everyone should play. When it came out, it did great numbers because it shadow dropped. They announced it like, hey, by the way, this game comes out now on Game Pass. Go play it. We just got it for PlayStation. We finally got it. Thanks, Xbox, by the way, for that. And
you're welcome.
I bought that pretty much right away, and it is tons of fun. It's the whole rhythm aspect to it. The boss fights are great and all different, and the characters are super unique. The art style is just top tier. It's a great game, and I think a lot more people should hear about it. And I think Matt would have a great time with it, and a lot of audience members have a great time with it too. It's just a lot of fun, and the whole aspect of it is really cool. The fights are really awesome. Your whole character is that you get kind of pushed into this machine, and your like MP3 player almost gets like stuck into your chest, and it moves to the beat, so you feel every single beat. Your character sees everything as a beat, and it all moves with every single fight, every walk, every step, all moves into that beat, and it is perfect. If you do stream the game, do not play the normal songs. Play the streamer version because you will get hit with a lot of copyright strikes. So if you're a streamer, definitely play the non-copyrighted music. But it's just a fun game. Even the non-copyrighted music is still good. The beats are still great. The rhythm and everything. It's a very fun game. So yeah, Hi-Fi Rush, number 4.
For me, my number 4 is is a game called SSX Tricky. It was on the original Xbox and PlayStation. It is the best snowboarding and racing game I have ever played. Have you, Austin? I know you've heard of this.
I played
amazing.
it. I played
there was a snowboarding game that I think I played on PlayStation a long time ago. This could be it.
This could be it. 100%.
Here, I'm gonna screen share. It's what I have now.
It's probably it. All of the top tricks. Oh, excuse me. All the top tricks and just crazy everything.
Yeah. Oh, what's going on here?
There we go.
Oh yeah. I definitely played this.
Oh yeah.
And you're
This
just you're
game,
trying to land all these flips and
I
stuff
mean,
like that.
you're going crazy with it. It's like Tony Hawk on crack, literally. It's
This guy just went up a hill.
yeah, like you can use the right is your tricky bar, and
This
if
guy's
you
hacking.
load that up by doing tricks, and then once you have that tricky symbol right there, you can do special tricks with it. And then those rings on the side, he's using them to like speed himself up, and he's going back up the hill to like
Yeah.
get these special bars and keep earning points. This map, like I still know the character's name. This is Mac, by the way. I used to play the shit out of this guy as a kid. I thought he had the coolest boards and coolest like outfits and everything like that.
Yeah, that's right. You could get a bunch of different boards. Yeah.
Yep. And you have like I think it's like 10 different characters you can choose from, and they all have different personalities, different special tricks, and they use special boards. But I could not get enough of this game. And whenever I'd be like bringing up to kids, like, I don't know, 7-year-old Hayden be like, I played SSX Tricky. Have you guys ever played it? And everyone would be like, who the fuck are you? Like, I don't know. No. So it's like, it was so
Grandma.
painful. Yeah. Yeah. Didn't help I was homeschooled either, but yeah. But
I
oh,
remember
man.
this game.
I know they released like some different, like they came out with like number 2, 3, and like I know there was like a World 1 that came out, and I tried to play that months ago, and it just did not feel the same. Like you didn't get the freestyles like you do in this game. Like, look at that was amazing. Like, holy crap.
This
Like,
guy's tagging.
This guy's so no, like you can do all of this. It's so crazy how fun it is. But
going uphill.
if you guys ever get the chance to play this again, or if there's ever a re-release of this game, I will lose my mind. Probably more than SpongeBob Battle Bikini Bottom. Like, that'd be insane.
Man. All right, that's your number 4.
That's my number 4. Yeah.
Okay. All right, my number 4 is a game called Time Commando. Anybody? Anyone? No. Nobody. Okay.
I'm pretty sure you're making up half of these.
No, I'm going to show you videos to prove that these are not fake games. I'm gonna set the stage for you. Okay, 1996 PlayStation game. I'm gonna tell you the whole story of this game. So the military, with the help of some private corporation, they've created a computer program that can simulate any form of combat.
What's this game called?
Time Commando. Any form of combat from any age in history. And so this is like a futuristic game, or like it's set in the future, and so like all wars and stuff have been fought. You know, World War I, World War II, Civil War, everything's been fought, right? However, this programmer that works for this private corporation has infected the system and has created a virus that's called this predator virus. And so the virus it's gonna distort time so much that there's going to create this time distortion vortex that's going to swallow the world if it's not destroyed. So a guy named Stanley Opar, he's a special agent that
is this Stanley?
Is that Stanley?
Is this the game?
This is the game. Yeah, this is the game. That's not Stanley though.
God.
That's the predator guy. That's the bad guy.
whoa.
So
that guy.
this guy's this is the bad guy. This is the bad guy. He's the one putting the virus in, right?
He
So
looks like he shit himself.
Stanley Opar he has to then go into the time vortex simulation thing, and he's gonna be forced to fight in all sorts of different eras in time, and has to complete all these things in time to do it. Are you sharing your screen? Is that's what I'm looking at right now?
Yeah.
So like right here is like he's fighting a tiger, right? So like this is
Sabertooth.
This is saber-tooth tiger. So he's in the prehistoric time. So this is where you start, right? So you see your little health bar in the top left. It's real small. You got your health bar. You're fighting prehistoric animals. You got to fight cavemen and cave women, all that kind of stuff. The only weapons you're going to get are going to be prehistoric weapons, right? Fast forward in time, and I don't know if you want to fast forward it in time here. I think you're still caveman right now. Yeah, you're still in the caveman phase. This might be you might be in the caveman phase the whole time. Oh no, now you're in the you're in Egypt, right? And so now like the pharaohs and stuff like that. And so you're going through time and you're having to fight these different people to continue to work through, and you're gaining attributes and gaining more power-ups, and so eventually your health bar is going to get bigger and bigger as the game goes on. And so it's a very cool kind of like history type game, combat history type game, right? And it kind of moves through all those phases, and eventually you're going to get into World War II, and all the scenery start to change too. So now you're in like you're in France in a city, and there's you're in a city landscape. There's trucks that are blown down and things like that, and you're moving through those, and you're picking up rifles, and you're having to shoot guns and having to kind of fight that way. There's a samurai one where you have to fight samurai soldiers, and so you've got swords. There's a pirate one where you're on a pirate ship, and it just continues to move through until eventually you get into the future age, and so now you're fighting the future age, and eventually you get into the computer itself, and now you're fighting the virus and stuff like that. So it works through all these stages, and they looked so cool for PlayStation. Right when PlayStation came out, the graphics on PlayStation were like, this is amazing. Like, I can't believe the graphics that we're seeing from PlayStation come out of this. And this game really, I thought, highlighted that really well. And I thought the concept of the game was really cool. But there was nothing else that followed this. There was no more Time Commando games that I've ever seen. No time type, or there have been time games and time type movement type games, but not in the way this one went through the errors of time periods and showcased those things. It was so unique in that aspect of it, and I think that to me was an underrated game that not a lot of people played. I played it, and a buddy of mine played it. We love this game. We played it nonstop all the time, and we never beat it. Like, it was a hard game. We never killed the virus. Today, right now, the Earth is going to be swallowed by this time vortex, unfortunately, because we couldn't finish it. But that's my number 4 underrated game is Time Commando, 1996. PlayStation,
1996.
remake this game. Do it, Sony.
Do it.
Somebody, whoever made this game.
I doubt it. They're going to remake this game. Sorry to tell you.
It's a good-looking game. It's a fun game.
You know
whoever is showcased in that video did not sell it good enough. If you could have jumped better to the scene or to the eras,
you know what's
it would have been
crazy
so
is
much
that
better.
on Steam right now, this game is at a 9 out of 10.
It's a great game. Nobody knows about it though. Like, nobody talks about it. Nobody brings it up, and it needs to be remade.
Matt, you can buy this game on Steam for $6.
Oh man, I could go back and beat it.
You need to. You need to go back. You might have to.
I might have to.
You
I
literally
love
might.
that game.
You
Time
might
Commando
have to.
was Time Commando was my game.
Yeah, you could play
for
this
PlayStation years ago.
For $6 on Steam right now.
And that's my number 4.
Interesting.
Austin, you want to say your number 3 again?
Titanfall. Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
Titanfall.
my number 3 is Titanfall 2. Great game. I already talked about it enough. Story's amazing. I've always wanted to go back and replay it for the 3rd time. But yeah, that's fine. Titanfall 2, number 3.
That is a great pick. It really is. My number 3 is a game I know you guys have never heard of. It just released this year. It's called Return to Grace. And it's kind of like those puzzle games that I recommended for like Matt, that Subliminal. And it just throws a different concept to puzzles and a storytelling at the same time. And so basically it's a game that explains death in a different sense, in a different way. So it kind of creates like a whole new religion. And so it guides you of what that looks like after death, of what that religion does. And what it does, it keeps audio tapes of your life. And through time, or through the gameplay, you have to go through different people's life and audio, and they tell certain points that they either were deal with hardship or happy memories or even the darkest of things. And it puts you through different levels of different scenarios that some people went through. One that like really like just stuck with me was like it was the last moments of a person on death row and what they were thinking, things like that. And you had to work through a puzzle how to put his pieces together and put his story together. And I always thought that was like, or I did think that was a really cool concept of a different puzzle game that makes you think differently. And I don't know, I got a little bit more out of it. It's just like a cool concept of how you should view how you're going through your life right now, whether you're enjoying gaming or you're out there and you're I don't know, hiking Everest every day. Just like there's different lifestyles that everyone lives through, and you just gotta be happy with yours. So I really enjoyed that. I highly recommend anybody who just has an easy 3 hours to kill and just just have a relaxing journey.
Easy
Really,
3 hours to
the
kick.
easy 3 hours. Yeah.
Oh, good. My number three, and I was kind of going back and forth with this one and my number two a little bit, but my number three is a game called Coliseum Road to Freedom. Um, if you're not familiar with, again, not familiar with it, it's a fighting role playing based game and based on the Roman Empire. It's a 2005 game, so obviously still a little older. As you can, I'm kind of working my way forward through the years, but Colosseum is a very Road to Freedom was a very unique game that you got to kind of create your character in the beginning. So like a lot of games now it's like you design what's your background of your character and stuff like that. So you start out you're a slave. That's what you are. You're a slave in the Roman Empire, but you're going to get the chance to fight your way to freedom in the gladiator games in the Colosseum. And so you start by picking, what are you, a soldier, what all these different things. There's lots of different aspects of it that you can pick from, and and I can share my screen on that part of it. But so you get to kind of create your character, your base character of it, and select what you are, who you're going to be, and all these types of things. But it's a really, really great looking game, and the story aspect of it. I mean, who hasn't seen the movie Gladiator and didn't love that movie, right? Great, one of the greatest movies ever made. And now you get to kind of play that aspect out in a game. Now they have made other similar games like this, but the way this one is done, I think, is one of the better ways of doing it. And so eventually, yeah, like so here you're gonna kind of get to what's that? The same video? Oh, are you sharing it? I didn't know you were sharing it.
It was the
Why don't you
same
say
video.
something? Well, yeah, of course it's the same video.
He wanted to see how long it take you to realize
That
it.
was the alarm.
And so yeah, so you see here you're kind of selecting where you're from. You're going to select like your role as what you did, like were you a farmer, all those types of different things, and stuff like that. But as you get further in the game, the other cool part of this is the fighting aspect of it. It has a really great mechanics for fighting. It kind of reminds me of like a Street Fighter and those types of things. The movements are really good, but better because it wasn't just straight on, right? So this is a little bit later of a game, so it's not just side screen Mortal Kombat style fighting. It's all over the place. It's an entire circle that you can move around and things along those lines, and so you can practice battling with each other. You can then, of course, get into these battles as you see here. You can duck, you can parry, and it's a lot of fun in that aspect. It's got a really kind of good, and then obviously it has the victory scenes and things like that. It's got a really cool victory one that you can do with a spear, where if you get your opponent down far enough in health, you can throw the spear and it'll stick in like their head and stuff like that, and they'll drop down. There's these attribute skills that you can add to it to kind of increase your guys' ability, like dexterity and different things along those lines. So you're building the character more and more as you go. And so obviously the longer you play it, the stronger your character gets. Now the even more fun part to me is the gear, right? So you can get helmets, you can get armor shields, arm shields, chest shields, shield plates, things that you're going to hold. You can get them during battle scenes too. Like if you're fighting another player, another gladiator, you knock their helmet off, you can pick it up and that becomes your helmet. Like it's your helmet that you want in the game. And the helmets look really, really cool. There's a lot of really different unique helmets that are nice looking and just badass looking and things along those lines. And again, just really great great fighting mechanics for the game of it. And I just thought that this game, again, was one of my favorite games playing again with this aspect of it. But I never seen another game like it. I never seen another Coliseum Gladiator type game like this that could continue to build on based on the what we have now available when it comes to games and making games, that you can continue to do it. So the story is you're fighting for your freedom, and there's other aspects, things that you can do in the game, the way you answer questions and stuff like that will lead to different endings. So there's not just one ending where your ending is freedom. There's other endings where it's not freedom and things along those lines. And if you don't win certain battles that you should win, there's not just people that you're fighting here too. You're going to fight animals too. Like there's going to be tigers and there's going to be battle scenes, just like the movie Gladiator, where they're going to have different setups that you'll play with it as well. And so Colosseum Road to Freedom was, to me, a great game Gladiator wise, that I never seen another one really like it come out. And to me, it was underrated then, in that sense that they didn't continue to make the game. They did do some sequels, or try to do some sequels, but they did not do as well as this one, to me. But great game, Colosseum Road to Freedom, number 3.
I'll be
All right,
honest.
back to you.
So far, I have not heard of any of your games besides Paperboy. I'm gonna be honest.
And these are all like pretty much PlayStation games. Almost every game other than that one is PlayStation. Well, actually, all the games I'm going to talk about are PlayStation after this too. But yeah, they're. I can't believe that you haven't heard of Colosseum Road to Freedom, even. Man,
I have not.
Who doesn't have Gladiator as their top movie list? I mean, seriously, if you say top movies, you got to have Gladiator, right? No? Oh,
like
my
top
God.
10, maybe 20.
Maybe 20.
Top 20? Oh, my God.
Maybe. Yeah. Podcast over. He's done. My number 2 is Spec Ops: The Line. This is I don't know if you two have played this game or not, or heard of this game at all. It's a third-person shooter. It's a lot of cover shooting as well. It's you and I believe 3 other men who are just strapped down in this big sand dust storm, but a lot of crazy things happen in this game. It's not your typical military war game. It really isn't. There's a scene in this game. I don't want to spoil it for anybody because I want you to go play it. Everyone, if you can, go play it. But there's a scene in the game that is so emotional and just heart-wrenching and gut-punching. And I played this, I think I was like, I don't know, 16. It came out in 2012. I was probably, 17, 18 years old. And this, out of nowhere, for a game that I thought it was just going to be like a shooter war game. No, this game is a lot of fun. It is violent. It's the story. It messes with your head. And there is, how do I say this? Massive twist in this game that if I don't think anyone sees coming. Unless you're paying super close attention to this game, maybe you'll see it. But there's a lot of these clues everywhere you need to figure out. It's way more fun than people give it credit for. And the story is great. And I would love a remake, a remastered somehow. I think that would be awesome. Yeah. Number 2 is Spec Ops: The Line. If you can play this, absolutely. Yeah. Very fun game.
For me, my number 2 is a game we actually talked about in our top 3 scary games. It is Scorn. It is still a game that does not get the recognition I think it should deserve. It has a crazy story to it, very challenging to follow. If you don't know what I'm talking about, it is very gory horror action survival mix pot of gross disgust at some points. So I highly recommend it. I just want to show a little bit of gameplay to hopefully get you more coaxed into it. I'm trying to find a really good part. Like,
it's the one where it eats your genitals.
It's gonna be close to that one. But I don't know, it's just like crazy mechanics like this, where it's like you're trying to figure out how this puzzle works. And so you have this creature stuck in this box, and you have to like remove him and put him in a different place. And it just makes you just like, if you look all over, just ugh, makes you just shake and squirm. Oh my gosh, she's almost reaching for you. um, I really hope you guys play this at some point. Austin, I don't know if it's on PlayStation. That's the thing.
It is on PlayStation. It's just not on the
Okay.
PlayStation's like Game Pass.
Okay.
I would have to buy it. But
Yeah,
I've seen it and it looks creepy. I mean,
yeah,
so,
it's very creepy.
You're like he's like making
And we'll
what
stop
the fuck?
Just a little taste.
A little taste of splash of blood everywhere.
So make it
Nice.
soup.
That's my number 2.
Number 2 for me is a game called Freedom Fighters. Another PlayStation game. I'll pull up the game footage, Hayden. You don't have to do it. Freedom Fighters is a pretty cool game, and a really cool story. I think it's kind of like I think it's a story everybody likes to hear, which, you know, when it comes to movies and cinematic and things like that. This is
What are they fighting for?
The Soviet Union. What are they fighting for? I'm telling you right now. The Soviet Union dropped the first atomic bomb. We did not drop it, and so the Soviet Union became the superpower of the world. And so communist states are popping up all over the place and eventually surrounding the U.S., making the United States a much lower tier when it comes to superpowers and not even a superpower. And so then eventually the Soviets attack the United States on a surprise attack by dropping troops into New York City, you know, Red Dawn, all that kind of stuff, right? That whole story. And that's what this is. And so 2 brothers working as plumbers, they get caught up in this whole invasion. One of the guy's brothers, Chris's brother, gets kidnapped. And the general that ends up kidnapping him ends up like executing him, right? And so Chris is really upset about that, wants to take revenge. He runs into a guy named Mr. Jones in the sewers while he's trying to escape. And Mr. Jones convinces him to assassinate this Soviet general, or the general that's part of the Communist Party thing, and so he does. He goes on a mission to assassinate him, and he does it. And the entire time, this guy, Mr. Jones, was a KGB operative, looking to create a resistance in the city to take down this general so that he could take his place. And so it's got a very twisted plot game, but it has it's a really cool mechanic game. It's a third-person shooter. You're going around the city as a resistant fighter, recruiting other players to join your group. And so when you go out on missions, if as you recruit people, they'll come with you. But as they get killed, they're dead. Like, they're gone now. And so now you have to recruit others and bring those into it. And eventually the game goes on where the resistant fighters are, capturing all these different strongholds and objectives until they get to the very final objective. It's winter time, things like that. And they finally, they rescue this one girl that they've been trying to rescue. And this KGB general dude eventually leaves, has to evacuate the city and all those types of things. And but that's how it ends, right? So the general dude lives, but there's no follow-up after this. There's no continuing of the story. And I thought it was a very cool game in the aspect of what you're doing as a resistant fighter. It's a great storyline in general for it. I had a blast playing this game myself, and just really loved the game and good storyline of it. And so that was my number 2 when it came to underrated games, that it just kind of abruptly ended. There was clearly should have been a sequel with this guy escaping this bad dude, but there never was. That continued on from it. So that's my number 2 in underrated games. Freedom Fighters. Go US. America. I'll just kind of go with my number 1 then too. I'll kind of finish up. And I think you guys have heard me talk about this game several times. And my number 1 underrated game is a game called Ruse. And so I've tried describing Ruse so many times to different people, and it's really difficult to describe and how it is. But and so I'll try to visually kind of show it here. So I mean, look at this map. Like, the map itself is really, really well done. But so it's a World War II based game. It's kind of reminds me, if I had to kind of equate it, something like Halo Wars, I guess I would say, if maybe people probably play Halo Wars a lot. And so the idea of it is, and this is like a multiplayer, so it's a multiplayer game too that you can play against. It's got a campaign mode that you can play too. That's a lot of fun as well. But you can get into it and play multiplayer, where you pick a nation, whether maybe it's Russia, U.S., Japan, all those types of different things, French, Italian, and they all have their own attributes of different types of vehicles and infantry people and things along those lines. And and so you have to build logistic lines, you have to build support stuff and things along that lines to start out your bases and building up your bases. And so as you see this map, right, it's very sand table looking type map. And so as they farther, if you zoom all the way out, that's what it looks like. It looks like a sand table map that's in a war room that somebody's looking at and picking where they're moving their troops and stuff like that, just as you would see in that aspect. And so you see here, the guy's collecting supplies from these supply stops. He's then putting down barracks or artillery barracks, airport hangars. These are defensive positions that you can build, and so like these are structures that you can build up as defensive positions. You can hide people in these forests. You can hide anti-aircrafts in these forests, and they will surprise attack people, which gains more damage against them and things along those lines. So if you look at the multiplayer, this is an 8-player multiplayer. They all have their own section, and so these guys are actually working as a team. There's 3 or 4 of them that are together as a group working together, and then there's 4 others that are on their team, and they're all kind of controlling their sectors. The reason why they call it ruse, when you see him kind of zoom out, I'll try to get one here if I can find it. The movement's really cool too. It's got the arrows on it. Of course, it's a freaking commercial. But it, when the reason why it's called ruse is you get cards. So it's very much like a board game type thing, right? You'll get these cards, and each card has its own thing that it does. One is called camouflage. Camouflage will camouflage a sector that you have, and they can't. So they can't see your buildings. Everybody can always see things on the map, right? But if you put the camouflage ruse card down, they can no longer see what buildings you have. So then you might build a bunch of defenses, and then when they push in, they all of a sudden get destroyed because they didn't know they're there. They have one that's called Blitz, which makes your guys move faster. They have one that's called Radio Silence, means you can't see the units moving. They have one called like Fight Till You're Dead or something like that, where they will not retreat. That's an aspect in the game where if you're fighting and your guy's taking way more damage than they're supposed to, they're going to automatically start falling back and in hopes to live and stuff like that. But if you put that ruse down, they won't. They will just fight until they completely are destroyed and dead. They have snipers in the game, so you can put a sniper unit out. And so it's a very, very unique World War II strategy based game that completely, like, great game. People were playing it multiplayer, and it just died. I just like they stopped either having it available. It used to be on Stream or Steam, and I don't know if it's still there. You might be able to get it on Steam, but it was a PlayStation 3 game, so it's it was very very heavily played at that time, but it just completely just lost its momentum. And went away, and no longer even available to get. But this was I mean, if there was a game that I played more hours than I played Hell Let Loose, this is the game that I played more hours than Hell Let Loose. This was an every single night, constantly playing multiplayer, playing against other people. It's like an esports type game to me, and is how it was. But a very cool, very unique game in what you could do on console. It looks like it'd be a place like a PC game, but you could play it on console, and it was a lot of fun to play. It's World War II based, so I love that aspect of it. It's very history based in that aspect of it. But the units are really cool looking too. They look like micro machines. You remember the little micro cars, tanks, cars, things like that? Those were a lot of fun to play with as a kid, and so it just reminded me of that as well. And I really, really thought that game should have been way more played and continued to be played than it wasn't, and it just flat out passed away and is no longer even available. So it's my number one underrated game is the game Ruse. Watch some videos. It's awesome.
So I was looking online while you're talking, and you can buy Ruse on Xbox 360 or PS3 for $36 right now
That's insane.
on Amazon.
That's crazy.
On Amazon right now.
Oh, as a hard copy.
Yeah, the whole game.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a hard copy. Yeah, I used to have the hard copy
Oh yeah.
years ago for PlayStation 3, but
Yeah.
I just I don't have a PlayStation 3 anymore, so I can't play it. But yeah, number one. That's my number one undergrade. Ruse, come back.
I think we will work backwards. I'm really curious about Austin's number one. Very curious. My number one is a series game. It is called Metro, and there's Metro Exodus, there's Metro Last Light, I think, and then Metro. I can't remember the first one, but then there's Metro Redux where they redid all three of them.
Yep.
I don't know. Have you guys heard of this? It is so
Oh yeah.
good
Oh yeah.
of a game series.
Yep.
And it's so like I've never heard of this. Like I stumbled upon it accidentally on the Xbox 360, and I thought it was just a cool concept. So I got the first game and I fell in love with it. And then it was a couple years after it released, and the second one just released like a year before that. And so I got that immediately and just fell in love with the series. And Matt, if you don't know what it is, or if anybody else doesn't know, it's a apocalyptic world after I think the Russians, I think they dropped the bombs on themselves or something after like a World War III, something like that. And from the nuclear atmosphere, it started creating monsters out of the nearby animals and people nearby. And it is a horror setting at some places because it is survival in the places you go, and it's very underground. At some points, you go through these subway stations, and there's like just hordes of mutants that you have to either sneak past by or face on. And there's times where it's like ammo is not an option. You have nothing on you besides a light or on your head or a lighter in your pocket, and you're going through these caves and you're trying not to make a noise as little as possible. And man, no, not a lot of people know about this series, and it's on my wish list to buy all three of them because they just the Redux version, they just redid all of them, and just replay it because it is such a fun and interesting concept, especially the third one. The third one, you can customize your weapons, and it's you can create your own story at some places and have different endings. And I highly recommend everyone play this game. It is so good.
There's a little bit of it for you guys of Metro Exodus.
Yeah, so you're wearing a mask because you're going through these heavy toxic zones of nuclear waste, and you constantly have to find new filters to change out your filters. You're fighting against other colonies in Russia because they're trying to take over your colony, steal your stuff, and you basically become this huge leader at this point. And I think there's like aliens in this too, if I remember right.
There's like weird creatures and a whole bunch of things. In this game, hey, and I don't know about Xbox, but on PlayStation, this like all three go on sale constantly.
Yes.
I mean, constantly. If you guys do not have any of these games, if it's not on sale yet, literally wait like a week or two and check again. It's probably gonna be on sale for like $4.
Well, the lowest I've seen on Xbox, and I think it's because I think there's a lot more people out there that know about this game and know something about it, but it's like $20 to $30 still.
Oh, really?
But for all three, I think the original was like $70, which isn't bad at all. But man.
So I do want to show this. Let me quickly do this quick. So with your game, I don't know how you're gonna feel about this, but they are making a new one.
Really?
Metro
I did not
Awakening.
know about this.
But it's VR.
Only on PlayStation, or is it going to be like other VRs? Like
it might be like the other VRs as well, but it's gonna be a VR game.
Man,
full on VR. I don't know like release date or anything, but they announced this, and yeah, this is coming to VR. This is one of PlayStation VR 2's like biggest titles because they're like, hey, we haven't made anything in so long. So this could be interesting. I just don't know when. They might say release. Oh yeah, release date trailer. Here we go.
VR, huh? That's
November.
awesome.
Wow.
Soon. So
very soon.
Very soon. Way sooner than I thought. I'm guessing probably PSVR for the first like few months, and then probably like Steam and all the other places for VR. Like that's my guess, anyways. But no, I've been wanting to play them. They look so interesting. I played the demo for one of them, and I just got so creeped out and eerie. I couldn't play it. But I need to because they look
Yeah,
great.
that was one of the first games where they're like, all right, we need you to go back out there and
Yeah.
like get supplies or something, and you're sitting in this like little camp. You're like, why me? Like, what is so special about me? Can you send someone else?
Yeah, no kidding, right? Like, what the hell? Why do I need to be the one to go?
Yeah.
Can you? There's, Bill's
Am I
over
the
there.
second
He's
coming of
not.
Jesus?
Oh man.
But yeah, that's my number one. Again, I highly recommend. And Austin,
All
your number
right,
one.
number one. So, unfortunately, I'm not gonna lie, everyone. My list. I made this really quickly, and now going over a lot of lists, I'm like, I missed a lot, right, in my head, a
Mhm.
lot. Like honorable mentions quickly. The Warriors video game,
I was thinking that.
so
I was
good.
thinking that.
If you have not played that, please play it. It is so good. Any Tony Hawk game, I don't know what I'm thinking. Like, I mean, are you kidding me? But my number one is, let me go ahead and bring this up. I've been having saved for a while. Came out 2017, I believe, 2018. I'll have to double check because I could be way wrong on this. Is Days Gone. Days Gone is such a great game. This game, Hayden, do you know anything about it? Days Gone.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So
This almost made me buy a PS4
yes,
at the time.
yeah.
Yeah.
So this game, I'm not gonna lie to you. When I bought it, I hated it, and I think this is why it's so underrated to me. And it's the most underrated game because they don't. What I'm trying to think here. They don't really do a good enough job to immerse you in this game for a little bit. It's a slow process. It took me 6 hours, and then after like a certain moment, I mean, to be fair, it could go faster for some people if you play the game like crazy. If I can get to that point quicker, but for me, I went really slow with it, and so that's why it took so long for me. But at a certain point, the game revs up to like 100, and it's just nonstop move, go, and it's a lot of fun. The story's fun, the characters are fun. Sam Witwer, if anyone knows anything to do with Star Wars, that's him right there. He plays this great, does a great job. If you don't know what this game is, it's a zombie game. It's a zombies take over the whole world, and you play as Deacon, who loses the love of his wife, and he tries to find her. Some things happen, go down. It's a massive open world, and if you are pretty much what I can't think of his name right now from The Walking Dead.
Ooh, a golf cart.
You have to help me here. If you're Walking Dead fans, you would know he rides a motorcycle all the time.
Daryl.
That's pretty much who you are. You're Daryl. You ride dirt bikes, you ride motorcycles, you upgrade your stuff. It's an open world, and the biggest thing in this game is the zombies. The zombies in this game are probably the craziest zombies you will ever see in any video game. It's not like, oh, hey, you have 20. No, you have like 80 chasing after you, 100, and they are just going right after you. But then you also are fighting people who've gone completely insane and are thinking that the zombies are the second coming of something and worship them, and you stop them, and it's just a whole ordeal. The open world aspect is a lot of fun. I really am trying my best to find a good like zombie moment because the zombie scenes. So like there's certain encampments like this, and on your mini map it has red, and red pretty much means there's zombies. And if you're loud or you make too much noise, well, they're gonna start chasing after you. You got to customize your weapons, your guns, get flamethrowers. Make sure you have silencers on all your guns, because if your guns make any noise, zombies are just going to come after you, and it's just not going to be a fun time at all. And hopefully you have gas in your vehicle, in your motorcycle, because if you don't have gas in your motorcycle, well, you're kind of screwed, and you need to find gas, or you're going to walk for a while. And this game is super underrated. Here's some zombies right here, and they will chase you for a long time. Like, they will not stop. You have to kill them. Like, they will chase you for a very, very long time. I think, to me, the reason why this is my number one is because it's a slow start. Like it is super slow. I almost quit playing it because it just to me I didn't see that progress. But I was really slow with it too. I took my time with it, which could have been the reason why. But after a while, it ramps up like crazy, and you are just going nonstop with these zombies. It is tons of fun. The highlight of this game is the zombies, so I'm actually gonna type it in quick for you guys because it's
Yeah.
just
The zombies are definitely. I remember seeing videos of this game when it first came out, and seeing the hordes of zombies and things along those. I'm just thinking, holy cow, that's
like
really
so
cool looking.
here is sorry for the ad break quick, but here we go.
Austin, I think the other reason this game didn't see too much light was because I think this was like 2 or 3 months after God of War came out.
I think so. It was right.
And I think God of War was so big
Oh
at
yeah,
the time
absolutely. Yeah,
that
like
it
look at this.
overshadowed it.
This was so. I mean, it's insane. This is so crazy to me. And if you're not prepared for this, you're dead. Like you're just dead. And they have massive zombies too. They'll have like big, huge brutes that take tons of ammo, and your ammos are gone in seconds. This game is worth your time.
RPK.
It's like World War Z.
Yeah, right. Like take your time with it. If you're in it, if you already played a few hours of it and it's just not clicking with you, I promise you, give it a little bit more time, and this game will be great. I would love to see a sequel. It probably won't happen, unfortunately. A lot of things have happened with the creators of this game and the devs of this game,
High up there.
so it probably won't.
Scared.
It probably won't have a second one. I would love a second one, or even like a remastered something would be kind of cool. But yeah, my number one is Days Gone, hands down.
Yeah, a good zombie game is just always fun. Like,
Video game podcast